Welcome to another episode of What's the Point podcast, a unique show about men and their mental health. There are no doctors, no professionals, just real men talking about real stuff. And now, the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point.
Welcome, everyone, to another wonderful edition of What's the Point podcast, where you, our thousands and thousands of listeners, are the point. You guys are the reasons we do this, to bring you real stories with real guys talking about real issues with mental health in life. I am Bill Deckus. I'm your co-host, and I'm excited to be here today with the coach, Mr. Mark Wick.
Good day. Great to see you. Great to be back here.
I'm here with producer extraordinaire Andy Bernard.
Hello. I got 8 hours of sleep last night.
Wow.
Whoa.
I know. New developments in my life.
It's kind of how every show starts. He gives us a sleep update.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Well, it's
Andy
the
moved-
most interesting thing
Andy
in my life
moved
right
out.
now.
Andy moved out.
Well, kind of. I slept in my kid's
Yeah.
room last night while he slept in my bed. So
And that other voice you just heard is Mr. Mark Meyer.
Super glad to be here. I'm excited to be with our guest, and it's raining outside. And as I was driving over here, it made me think of a joke. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get this out of the way, if you don't mind. And Andy's probably most likely to answer
Time
it.
for a break already.
But just curious, why does Snoop Dogg carry an umbrella? For drizzle. See? Wick doesn't get it.
I do
Well,
get
at
it.
his age. I mean, I could see Andy, but not Wick. I mean, goodness sakes.
And if anybody thinks that's a
What?
bad joke, call Chad at Face It, because he's the one who told it to me.
I wonder if we're going to have any calls or texts in today.
Can you explain that?
well, we're not live, so probably not.
Ah, dang it.
That was fun. Last time we heard from Kamara.
Who brought these in?
Oh yeah, that was someone who texted in. She texted in before the show started.
Yeah.
Ah.
We are very excited to have a guest, a longtime friend of ours, and Face It, Mr. Steve Monson's here today. Welcome, Steve.
Well, thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Wow.
And good night.
Man, this show
And
has
good
really,
luck.
This thing has really
Okay.
taken off so far, hasn't it?
You know that opening that Tom does about no doctors, no professionals? Maybe we should bring in a doctor or two and a professional.
On that note, I have a question for you guys.
Oh, okay.
What is the most popular, most consumed vegetable in the United States?
Rutabaga.
What do you think, Coach?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to go with corn.
Andy?
Is corn a vegetable technically?
Well,
I wonder.
it's wrong, so we're just letting it go anyway.
Okay. I'm going to say broccoli. I
What the
don't
heck's
know.
wrong with you people?
What?
Does
Broccoli's
Steve-
everywhere.
He's not a real person yet.
He doesn't get a chance.
No.
Okay. So rutabagas a no?
No, and no.
Kohlrabi.
Chard.
Potatoes.
Potato's not a vegetable.
It's a root.
It's a vegetable.
I guess it's a root vegetable, but I don't know. My doctor wouldn't agree.
Steve
The-
Monson, is that a vegetable or a root?
I think, well, aren't all root vegetables vegetables?
Technically, I guess. Would you call a sweet
Carrot?
potato a vegetable?
Vegetable?
Yes, I would.
Huh.
Beets, vegetables?
Or sweet potato, yeah, I'd call that a vegetable. Anyway, the average American, which none are in here today, consume 30 pounds of potatoes a year.
Come
The
on.
average is 30 pounds of potatoes.
I don't doubt
mostly,
it.
I believe that.
Mostly
Fries.
for French fries.
Fries.
Yeah,
Yep.
fries and chips.
Yep.
Yep. Oh,
Is a
yeah,
French,
chips.
So a French fry is a vegetable?
Well, they're potatoes, so
See?
I mean,
They're
they're
eating
basically
healthy.
like those veggie straws, basically
Yeah.
the same thing.
Now, this is something interesting you guys don't know about me. I eat a version of a mashed potato every meal. So I'm bringing up the average.
Literally
Mashed
every meal.
potato.
At least 2 to 3 times a day.
Wow. For the starch or for the carbs or the
For carbs, but just they're pretty clean, actually.
filling?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wick, you eat potatoes 2 to 3 times a day?
No.
Huh.
As a matter of fact, I eat more rutabagas.
I can't believe people don't eat more rutabagas.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point. Well, think about it. Next time you're out ordering, at a restaurant, when they say what side do you want?
I'm just going to Google rutabaga quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
Cumberland, Wisconsin has a rutabaga festival
Ha!
every summer.
Well, there you go.
So
Look at Cliff over there.
I only know because my in-laws have a cabin there.
What'd you learn about rutabagas, Andy?
They're the Swedish turnip.
Huh? See, I'm Swedish.
They are
Makes
a
sense.
root vegetable, so
Yeah.
there you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you have it.
So yeah, they're a hybrid between cabbage and turnip.
I'm starting a new nonprofit to raise the presence of rutabagas in people's lives.
Well, it's fun to say, so it should be fun to eat, right?
That's right.
Rutabagas are people too. Actually, we used to have that. I don't know why, but my
Wait,
mom
get
used
off
to
your
cut
phone.
it up in like stews and stuff like that. They were
Rutabaga?
just square chunks of this kind of whitish looking thing.
My mom did too, and both our families were poor.
Is that meat, Mom?
Sure.
I don't know if you've tried one lately. You got to work to get the peel off that thing, and oh my gosh. Anyway, we've gone way down a rabbit hole. We're going to take a quick break and be right back and hear stories from our friend Steve.
At Brand Inc., we know your business's reputation rides on every detail, especially when it's on the road. Our commercial vehicle wraps combine eye-catching design, 3M-backed installation, and a seamless process built for busy teams. Whether it's one truck or an entire fleet, we help you turn heads, build trust, and grow your business. Your vehicles are always moving. Make sure your brand moves with them. Start your project at brandinc.com. That's Inc with a K, brandinc.com.
You're listening to the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. And now your hosts, Mark Meyer, Bill Deckus, and Mark Wick.
I was trying to think of a clever way to come back from the rutabagas, but I'm just going to leave it alone. So,
Please.
we are actually very, very fortunate to have Steve Monson in studio with us today. Steve, just real quick, how long have you been coming to Face It?
Just past my 8-year anniversary.
8 years.
Yeah.
So in the 8 years that Steve has been around, I would suggest or argue or nominate that you have been one of the most transparent people I have met with regard to sharing your story, your history, your challenges, your willingness to stand up at a breakfast, to stand in front of our golf event. I've watched the compassion, the thoughtfulness, the effort you put forth every time you're in the presence of other people, and I am so grateful for that because it's incredible. You lead groups, you show up for events, you make incredible leather goods to donate. You're just an incredible human being, and I'm grateful for you. So we're lucky to have you.
Well, I appreciate that.
And you know, the opening segment is really a chance for you to just lay the groundwork a bit for our listeners about what have you been through? What's this mental health journey been like for you, and highs of it and lows of it and challenges, all of it?
Yeah, for me, I think back to when I was around, 30, 35. We had, 3 young kids, and I can recall just many times just not being present in our family's life. It was pretty hectic, obviously, with kids and events and school and sports and things like that. But there were so many things that I was missing, and just little things because I just wasn't present enough. We also had pretty significant financial issues that fell on me as I was the one paying the bills and kind of taking care of things there, where just mismanaging money, which only deepened the shame and feeling unworthy and not fulfilling my end of the bargain as a husband, as a father, and as a quote unquote man. Mm-hmm. It was getting worse as the years kind of went by. Kind of stepping away from my family or purposely, not being involved. I was kind of frozen for a long time, and it was frustrating for my wife, Margaret, to kind of work around what, me not being there. Or, I can remember one time one of our daughters came in after school, and I was laying on the couch because that's usually where I was, and separating myself from my family, and her coming in and, big smile on her face, wanted to just share what she had done at school, and looks at me And of course, I've got this grumpy look on my face, like I don't want to be talked to. And the look on her face just kind of, the happiness kind of drained from her, and she just looked at me and turned around and went searching for her mom, Margaret, to, share what she wanted to share. Yeah. And it was a pretty significant moment where I probably felt my lowest there, that, I was not present for my kids, and they were avoiding me because I was giving off that avoidance vibe, certainly.
So when you say you weren't present, you don't mean literally. You were
Correct.
there, you were in the
Yep.
house, you were going to work, you were helping.
I was at events. I think I was helping around the house. Margaret would be able to tell you whether that was true or not.
You were
but
you were managing difficult finances.
difficult finances, and I wasn't sharing that with
So you were carrying
Margaret
that stress on your
either.
own.
So she really didn't have an idea of what was going on behind the scenes and in our checkbook and in our bank account. And it just snowballed to a point where I had lost my job twice within a year and a half, each for about 6 months, out of work, and used maxed out credit cards, took out a home equity line of credits and personal loans just to kind of keep things going, because we didn't have a lot saved. And what we did have saved, we used pretty quickly once the first unemployment hit. I went on it wasn't even a job interview, it was just an information interview. The woman I was speaking with was asking me about, what my goals were and, what kind of job I was looking for. And I couldn't even tell her. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to advocate for myself. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know how to share or be confident in myself. And I broke down crying right in front of her. And thankfully, I think she recognized that there was something deeper happening.
Sure.
And it turns out that, even in her family, she's, experienced, mental health issues, and could tell that I was depressed. I mean, she used that word at that time, and I didn't use that word on myself at the time. I didn't see. I was just so angry and frustrated, and but I never linked that to the word depression or being depressed.
Do you think prior to the onset of all that particular stress associated with finances and young kids, do you trace roots of anxiety, depression, sense of inadequate sense of self back any further than that?
Yeah. So I revealed about a year ago to the Face It family that I, at 16 years old, I was a victim of, I guess, what would now be called a sexual predator.
And was a sexual predator then too.
Yeah, back in the day, maybe you called them perverts, right?
No, but they were. But he was a predator.
Coerced me to.
Against your will.
Against my will, gave me beer.
Yeah. Was a predator.
16.
Steve.
This guy was 20. I don't know, in his late 20s.
Yeah.
And but I hid that for a while because I was so embarrassed and so full of shame. Like, how could I not stand up for myself?
Sure.
And stop what was happening or realize what was happening.
All those shaming, damning things we do to ourselves when we're victims. This guy was a predator. This guy was a criminal. You were a young man, right? Like, those are the things we do to ourselves, is we punish ourselves and blame ourselves for somebody else's absolute, horrific, illegal, immoral actions.
Of course, I thought it was my fault.
Right.
Because how could I let that happen? And buried it for a long time. But looking back on it, after opening up to the Face It guys about that, it was the first time anyone's, I've ever told anyone. But I've connected my, negative self-worth and, always putting myself down, telling myself that I wasn't good enough, I was not a good husband. How can I screw up our finances to the degree that they were? I was not a good father. Realize that, a clinician hasn't, told me that that's why I had those, negative self-talk.
Certainly part of it, right?
But I look back and can really pinpoint a time where things changed. I was pretty, confident kid in high school, early high school. Had some good friends, had a good group of classmates, and felt good. And then after that, things got very confusing and.
Mark, you're
hard.
Mark, you're a clinician. Do you suppose something as traumatic as that maybe had an impact on Steve? And not to laugh.
No, I mean, absolutely. And, the question I was going to ask you before you shared that, which I appreciate your openness and willingness to share that, because that's not easy. With those finances, I was going to ask, but you alluded to it. Did Margaret know? Did you, how did that, that weight must have just built and built with every credit card charge, with every bill that came through, to hide it and that, well, it makes perfect sense because of what happened to you when you were 16.
Yeah, no, I never shared because, I thought that I was supposed to just be able to figure that out. And it just kept snowballing, and, I was forced to, try to decide which bill not to pay this month because I had to catch up on other bills. And we just never got ahead. We never were in a comfortable position, and I just, I wasn't strong enough to share that with Margaret. I wasn't strong enough to ask for her help or try to figure out how we get ourselves out of this. I was embarrassed.
And at the same time, I'm guessing, did anybody see that? Did Margaret see that you were struggling? Did your neighbors see it? Did other people see it?
Other people, I would say no.
Right.
I kept all of that, I guess, anger and aggression that came out on my family. We do talk about or hear that, you hurt the ones you love the most, and that was exactly what I was doing. I was not being present. I was, I tried to coach, our girls' soccer teams, but I was just a yeller, not a coach. And even when they started getting into, high school sports, I was that dad who was screaming from the stands, and just embarrassing myself. And my in-laws are sitting right next to me, and
you were hurting, Steve. You were hurting. You acted it out in anger, but you were hurting.
Acted it out in those ways. Yeah.
You touched on it a little bit just recently, but the same thing kind of happened to me as well. When I told my story to my whole family so they understood all the details, they told me about how they all had to walk around on eggshells.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the hardest things I've ever heard, because I didn't see that from my perspective. This was only a me issue. Nobody else was affected. But when they told me that and realized that I had been doing this for a long time, that was really hard for me.
Yes. I could see my family walking on eggshells. every dinner we had, kids were afraid to say the wrong thing, or God forbid someone spill a glass of milk. My hand would just bang on the table and just get so angry, and poor kids were just scared. They didn't know what version of their dad they were going to get every day, what kind of reaction they were going to get from anything that they were saying, doing.
All three of us sitting on this side of the microphones. Mark, you lost a job over at Bill. You just described it. Steve, I've looked back. I have 3 kids who are essentially mirror your kids' ages. I was so far removed. I was acting out. Had addiction issues. I mean, I look back and holding the pain of knowing you hurt these loved ones. It's a monumental aspect of recovery, because you got to learn to hold that pain while moving forward, right? And it happened, and you wish it hadn't happened, but it did. And you were hurting, and you had reason for your pain, and you had I bet you had many days you were actually quite kind, and you weren't always yelling, and I bet there were times you coached from the bottom of your heart, and we don't remember those moments, but I just think it's really critical that as we try to move forward in life, as we recall these situations that are so goddamn painful, to remember to give ourselves a little break and a little grace. And for 8 years, I've watched you do the work. I watched your daughter get up and speak and give testament to what an amazing father you really were. And she sees you different than you see yourself. And I heard your wife say those same things. And, when we're victims of something such as, being assaulted, or, the horrific nature of what you went through, it is as traumatizing as anything. And in good male fashion, get over it, move on.
And I would say, looking back, and you didn't holler at the players. You weren't hollering during the game. That was your illness.
No.
That was you, and you didn't know you had it at the time. It's not an excuse, but like Mark said, you were hurting, and that's all we knew. And now, when you know better, obviously you're doing so much better. And that type of stuff, and we can't take that back. But like my therapist, the first thing he said to me was, depression wasn't my issue. It's the fact that I didn't take care of it and handle it, and manage it. But I'm reminded it's the illness that's lashing out, and now you're taking care of that. You're controlling that, whereas at that time, that was controlling you.
We're gonna take a break, but Steve, I cannot tell you how important this last 15, 16 minutes is going to be for many people. And your willingness to talk so openly is just incredible. So we'll be right back. Launched in 2009, Face It is a Minneapolis-based nonprofit organization focused on working with men who deal with depression. Using a peer support model that leverages men's groups, mentoring, social activities like retreats, baseball games, and fishing trips, we provide more than 12,000 hours of free services to hundreds of men each year. And yes, I said free. We never charge for any of our peer support programs, and we will never ask you for a copy of your insurance card. If you're tired of feeling alone in your fight against depression, please visit us at faceitfoundation.org or drop Mark or Bill an email at info@faceitfoundation.org.
You're listening to the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. And now your hosts, Mark Meyer, Bill Deckus, and Mark Wick.
Well, welcome back to What's the Point podcast. And we're with Steve Monson, and thank you for that first segment. Very powerful. And, I just want to say something before we move on. Mark had alluded to it. Last year at our Alive at the Links golf outing, and I've been a little bit involved in that, and when I heard that you were willing to speak at that, but not just you, to have your wife and daughter there also, I have never been excited like I was to hear that, because I know personally how that was going to resonate. And I wish we would have had 10,000 people there, families, because how that resonates and would resonate. And I was fortunate enough to have my my kids there, my wife there, and for them to hear that, boy, that rang so true to them, because what our illness doesn't just affect us, it affects those around us. And they have to understand that hey, we don't want to do this, and the way that it makes us feel, but it also kind of gives us a chance to say, man, I wish I could take that back. I can't go back. So again, just like Mark said, that first segment is going to have such an impact and resonate with so many people. I hope you realize how much that night in your talk resonated with the people there and the impact that it had, because it was amazing. So
it was important. It was really special to be asked not only to speak, but this unique opportunity for Margaret and our oldest daughter Ellie to share their experience and what they saw from their eyes, and especially for Margaret, kind of a lost voice in all this. So for her to kind of share, what she saw, what she was going through, and even the struggle that she had on what to do and what to do for me, and try to keep the house balanced in a way where, I wouldn't react or yell or get angry, was extremely hard on her. It was really special to have her share her side and then hear from our daughter as well.
And thanks for bringing that up too. And I hope they got that same message afterwards, that their stories, along with yours, resonated with so many people also. And you said in that first segment about how, oh man, I feel like a terrible dad, a terrible husband, all that type of stuff. I would challenge that a little bit.
We're going to do that afterwards, because I took some notes too about how he said he wasn't strong enough, etc.
Yeah,
That's
after
bullshit.
listening to Margaret and your daughter,
Right,
and all that. Now, we don't always feel that way, and I don't think any of us have never felt like we're not a great spouse or, whatever. But those are feelings, not facts.
Right.
And I think I heard the facts that night of a pretty amazing guy. So,
I don't think that highly of you.
No, I know. And so that's why I want to keep changing now before Bill steps in. But no, they've talked about you being here for 8 years. And, Mark said, you have put that energy into your recovery. What does that look like for you? What has that, what has allowed you to get out of that? And I guess one of the things that, I don't know if we got it, is how did you end up at Face It?
A Face It member, Pat Donnelly, is a writer and editor, had published an article in the Star Tribune in 2017, I think late April, talking about his journey with depression and what that looked like for him and what it felt like for him. And there were so many things in his article that, could have been me talking. For 3, 4, 5 years prior to that, I had finally, after I broke down in the informational interview, she encouraged me to go to my doctor, talk to my doctor. So I did, and got on some antidepressants. But then, from there, there was about that, 5 years where, I thought I needed to do something else, but I didn't know what. The thought of trying to find a therapist was daunting to me, knowing that, I really had a real connection with that person, and what if it wasn't a good connection, then I'd have to start all over again. And so I was reading articles about depression when I could, and trying to find information. But when Pat's article came out, that really prompted me to take some action. And thankfully, he put Face It's number or the organization that he was a part of in his article, and I called, I think it was the next day, and talked to Mark and Bill, and got in pretty quickly, and then was in a group in less than a month after that.
Okay. So what types of things do you do? What does your recovery look like?
Well, for me, just talking to other guys that had similar experiences. You think you're alone in this, and that you can't talk to other people, let alone other guys, about what you are feeling. And for a long time, I didn't even know how to express what I was feeling. But Bill was our leader of our group, and really just encouraged openness among the guys, and talking, about, as best as you can, describe what you are feeling, what you're going through, the struggles you're having. And then we talked about tools and things that we can use to kind of shift our mindset, whether it's gratitude, and really just not believing your own quote unquote hype, right? That you're not really as bad as you think you are. There's some things that you need to work on, and we're here to help you through that. And we're here to challenge you. We're here to clap for you. We're here to encourage you as well. And just over time, try to at least stop those thoughts, those negative thoughts that were just kind of running away for a long time, running wild, to try to stop and kind of shift your thinking, and look more realistically at who you are, and that you're just not what your depression is, that you're more than that. And let's look for the positive things. Let's try to be present. Let's try to encourage one another, and volunteer, and do things for others, because that makes you feel good. The guys in my group, and I still go to my original group, as well as now co-facilitate a second one. I love those guys, and we sort of grew up together, if you will.
I'm curious, Stephen, in this whole recovery journey, what have you learned about the importance of being transparent and truthful about what's really going on in your life?
That there are people that care, and that people want to help, and will, if you want, will provide some help, will give you opportunities to change your direction. Face It held a financial peace class, which was really a key to Margaret and I and our family getting our finances in order.
And in that experience, or in that exercise, beyond just getting your bottom line figured out, you guys learned how to be honest with each other. You learned how to talk. Is that fair?
Fair. Yep. Even just if I'm not having a great day, or if I'm frustrated, or I can't really pinpoint why I'm moody, just sharing that with Margaret was key. I didn't necessarily have to know why I was. Just, man, I'm not feeling right today, and I'm kind of crabby, and I just need a moment to gather myself. And for me, I'm sorry.
For me, punched Mark Wick.
Yeah. Oh man, that's okay. I probably deserved it.
I used to wearing a microphone. For me, part of what has helped me was the release of those thoughts, and talking about it felt freeing. I felt lighter afterwards, that I could put it out there and not have to live with it myself and carry that myself. And I didn't have to figure it out necessarily, but I just needed to share.
can I add a quick thing off that? Have you ever been sick, like, say the flu, throwing up, that type of stuff?
Yeah.
Do you pretend you're not doing it? Or would you share with your partner that, hey, I'm sick today, I'm sick?
Yeah,
Like,
of
but
course,
again,
yeah.
the feeling thing we hide.
Yeah.
And then when we can get to the point where we say, I don't know, I'm just having a bad day. I'm just gonna spend some time by myself,
Yep.
right? And again, just like that flu, if you're throwing up or you get this temperature for 2 weeks, you're probably gonna go see somebody. And I
Yep.
know that now, if that goes on for days, I better call my therapist and I better do something. But it's okay to have a bad day,
Yeah,
right? And
right.
and just say, I'm not feeling it today.
And I think
And I always thought those bad days made me a bad person.
bad person. And that's, I mean, I think that's the issue, is that this notion that we are what we feel and think. And, Mark, you've alluded to this on many other interviews. You don't have to run out and tell everybody. But the reality is there are things we carry that are meant to be shared. And who you share them with is important, your wife, your therapist, people you trust, etc. But what you shared earlier and what you carried along with that, in my opinion, was rotting your soul, because it's too much to carry on your own. And eventually either you do something with it or it eats us.
Yeah.
And I think, as frickin' hard as it is to be honest, I see no way around some of this stuff other than to share it. And so I think that, and you share it with the right people, but it's critical.
And I love the other thing you said is something about how that's not your identity, right? You're not depression, right? I tell people that all the time. Depression doesn't define who I am. I still do that. And that's what you're doing now. Because so long, when it controlled me, then it did have that opportunity, because that's who I was. Just like, with jobs. Like, I was a coach.
Yeah.
And when I got taken away, that was my identity.
Yeah.
But luckily, I was far enough in my recovery that I was able to handle that better, because I knew that I was more than just that.
Yeah.
But I think that's such a point that we feel like we are our illness. Nope. You're
Yeah,
Steve
for a long
Martin.
time.
You're
Yeah,
a great
felt
dad, husband, great person, great friend, great mentor, great facilitator, like great father, all these great things. You're not just our illness.
Yeah.
So thanks for bringing that up.
Cheers. Yeah.
Obviously, you were lucky enough to get put in a group that had a great leader, so you were lucky there. But what about these other guys? I mean, what do they mean to you?
I did have a great leader, someone who encouraged us to be open, to share, to, let others in.
Who led that group?
Who let the dogs out? I'm going to sing every
Music break.
episode.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
But the depth of the connections that come out of those groups, especially that one, you guys have been together forever now, it's really powerful. I mean, you guys are friends. Families are friends, everything.
Yeah. When you spend, 7-8 years with the same group of guys, there's no doubt that you get close to them, and they are your community, especially with, in this world of depression, anxiety. We go out together, we go out to eat, we go to see bands, we go to see shows. These are friends that I'll have forever.
You guys ever get together and do Pilates?
We have done that a couple of times.
Ate a lot of guys must have eaten broccoli before
Yeah,
Pilates.
maybe if they
Remember?
had more
It wasn't
rutabagas back then.
Steve, but there was a few guys in that Pilates class who farted a lot.
Yeah.
Look, aren't you supposed to be in control of this section?
What-
This-
what,
Are
so,
you still here?
Tell me about your relationship now with your daughters. Can you do that?
It's pretty special. Not only being open to Margaret when I was struggling and, sharing this depression with her, and how, I didn't know what this was, what this looked like, but, found this great group, Face It, that's going to help me. I was very open with the girls at the time, what I was feeling. I was very remorseful for, the environment that I created in our home that maybe he wasn't safe every day, or not safe but unpredictable.
Yeah.
That they never knew what dad they were going to get, and oftentimes it wasn't the good dad.
Yeah.
They their hearts are so big. They forgave me, and allowed me to start over in a way, and
Awesome.
to be the dad that I should have been a lot longer, long time ago.
Yeah.
I just love them all so much. And when I did speak at the golf event last year, all three of our daughters were there as well, and it was a pretty special event because we're in this journey together
Right.
as a family. It really stinks that I, had to. Created the environment that I did.
Stop
but
beating yourself up.
They stuck by
Stop
me.
beating yourself up. Stop it. Stop it.
And I was going to say,
Sorry.
you've given them some of the greatest gifts.
Yeah.
The understanding that it's okay to be vulnerable. The understanding that, and I'm sure this was a huge challenge for you. You say now you can ask for help.
Yeah.
Asking for help is tough.
Yeah.
And you gave them that gift of, hey, if you need something, it's okay to ask for it.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
they didn't have the dad that wasn't good. You weren't the dad you wanted to be at the time, but that stuff's in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
As we move forward, look at where you are now, and like Mark said, give yourself some grace, give yourself some self-compassion.
And now they can come to me and feel safe and know that I'm there anytime they need me.
And that's a special gift. So on that note, we are going to take a break, and we will be right back.
At Brand Inc., we know your business's reputation rides on every detail, especially when it's on the road. Our commercial vehicle wraps combine eye-catching design, 3M-backed installation, and a seamless process built for busy teams. Whether it's one truck or an entire fleet, we help you turn heads, build trust, and grow your business. Your vehicles are always moving. Make sure your brand moves with them. Start your project at brandinc.com. That's Inc with a K, brandinc.com.
You're listening to the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. And now your hosts, Mark Meyer, Bill Deckus, and Mark Wick.
Welcome back, everyone, to What's the Point podcast. This is our final segment for this episode. It's been a wonderful episode. Steve, I can't thank you enough for joining and sharing your story. Very, very impactful, and we certainly have more to add to that as we go on through this final episode. But I like to ask you, I think there's a guy sitting on 494 who's stuck in traffic right now and just happened to be listening to this podcast, heard this episode. What is one word of advice? What sentence, what could you tell him?
You don't have to sit in your anger, your lack of confidence. You don't have to sit with it yourself. I thought I had to figure my way out of it, and I couldn't. And the more I tried, the more I fell back into a deeper hole. I hope that person, there's at least one person in their life that they can just share it with. They're not going to be fixed by sharing, the struggles that they have, but letting that person in on what you're struggling with, I hope and I believe will release some of the heaviness that they have and are carrying with them, and that it's important to find that person and to share it.
Awesome. Great advice. Before we do what we've learned, any words from you guys?
I just am in awe. I just think you're a great honest person who's willing to share. And the tears flowed during this episode, and I can imagine some of the feelings that have run through your body as you do this. And the willingness to be vulnerable. To all you men out there listening, I think it is one of the biggest barriers, is this notion, if I'm truth, if I tell the truth, if I really let myself be seen for who I am, the world will turn its back. And I don't know, we have, 10,000, 50,000 million, evidence that doesn't happen. So I just appreciate you, Steve, tremendously.
Thank you.
And I will say, you've been in Face It for 8 years. I haven't known you that long, right? But I've seen you and listened to you at the breakfast, at the golf outing, just other environments, and you continue to amaze me at your openness, your vulnerability, the things that you've done. And I don't say this lightly. I believe you're a true inspiration. Yes. And you give, the one thing you said, we can't fix you and that type of stuff, I agree with. But I think the one thing that hopefully we can give people, and I know this episode will give a lot of people, is hopefully we can give people hope. And you certainly give me, and I know you're going to have a huge impact on others of giving them hope because of what you've persevered through. So thank you for all that.
Thank you. Every day I'm thankful for Face It and what it has allowed me to share, what it has given me, the friendships, the leadership of this organization has one thing in mind, and that's just to help guys. I'm so glad that Pat wrote that article, and I was able to call, and you answered the phone.
That article was a game changer, actually, for Face It. That's that piece of media marketing, whatever you want to call it. It probably added 3 groups to Face It. I mean, the number of men, 30, 40, 50 men reached out and joined. It was unbelievable. Pat just absolutely nailed it with that thing.
I think half the guys, or more than half in our original group, came there because of that article.
No doubt.
And he's asked for a commission. Obviously, I don't have to say it. You are probably one of my closest friends. I've shared many times. There's so many stories that we don't have time to get to. There's the fact that during COVID, you took up the craft of leather work, doing leather work. You do handbags, you do all kinds of stuff. It's super cool. You've got your own Instagram page, Monson 5, the family of 5. It's your family. I've told you many times, if you ever have room for a 6th, I would love to be part of the Monson clan. It's hard for me to understand back in the day where you say you were a bad father and this and that. That just seems impossible to me. I'm just so glad to even see you today. So that's wonderful for that. Every episode we always end by what have we learned today? What about you, Coach? What have you learned today?
Again, I think it's the reinforcement piece that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be open. You don't have to go through this on your own. It was a great reminder today. But not today, but I did learn something about Steve since I heard him at the golf outing, that at least one of his daughters is a pretty good lacrosse player. She was conference player of the week at least 2 times this past season, and I thought that was pretty cool. And hopefully you enjoyed this because it was her senior year, correct?
It's junior year.
Okay, so you get one more year to enjoy it.
Yeah, if I could brag a little bit more, Susie also won in her conference the midfielder of the year.
Oh, geez,
Just
I
had
missed
a great
that.
season and was recognized by the conference, and we were so proud of her.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
What about you, Andy? What did you learn today?
Well, I learned that potatoes are a vegetable. That's for sure. I never would have guessed. I learned that rutabagas are underappreciated.
Salute to the Ruta.
Yeah, exactly. Underappreciated except for one brave man in this room. And on a more serious note, because I'm almost never serious, but I probably ought to be, I'd say that I learned that you should not attribute your actions when you are in a period of mental illness necessarily to yourself.
Yep.
Like you said, it's not an excuse, but it is an explanation.
Yep.
if you have a cold and you sneeze on someone, you probably shouldn't have done that. But if you didn't have a cold, you wouldn't have done it to begin with, right?
Yep.
Nice.
I like that.
What about you, Mr. Meyer?
I learned a lot. I'm gonna need a few minutes here. Wick flipped me off 6 times. I was keeping track with. He's laughing over there.
Yep.
Because he thinks
I
that's.
thought it was 8,
He,
but
he
good.
doesn't notice that.
It wasn't
so
as bad
that's
as I
fine.
thought it was today.
I definitely missed my calling as a lounge singer, but I'll get back to that later.
Never too late.
There's always time.
Exactly. Thank you. Steve confirmed for me that which I know to be true, and the truth will always set you free. Carrying around our lies, our past, wherever you bear that truth, it will set you free. I learned that my respect for Steve is deeper. It's always been deep. I've always appreciated who you are. I've always appreciated watching you. I see the thought you put into when you respond and think, and I'm kind of the 180 of that. I often speak first and apologize later. I just learned what I think what Andy just said. Actually, Andy, you just taught me something too, and it's that reminder that we're responsible, and yet it's really helpful to understand why we do the things we do.
Yeah.
Because from there we can begin to make some changes. So I learned a lot today. I'm grateful for all of you.
Bill, before you share.
It's not going to be true.
Sure,
Whatever he's
go
going to
ahead.
say is not true.
Wow.
You see, he's got to change. He's got to come up with something new to say.
You have a tell.
No, I wanted to, and because of something that Mark said to you, and a lesson as we leave, that, I think right now in this world, we need to be more kind to one another.
Yeah.
Right? We don't know what that person next to us is going through. But I think what we learned today and what's really tough is to really challenge people to be kind to themselves.
Yeah.
And give ourselves some more grace and compassion, because I heard a lot from you of beating yourself up and that type of stuff. And hey, none of us are perfect, but moving forward, can we give ourselves that same grace and compassion that we give others? So my challenge to people is be kind to yourself also.
Amen.
What have I learned? Well, I learned, obviously our podcasts aren't necessarily date specific, but I did learn that I'm sitting in a room full of fathers with Father's Day only a couple days away.
Yeah, 2 days, right?
And you all have multiples, so good work on that front. That leads me into the thing I really learned is that, you know what, there's a lot of guys out there that are struggling that probably weren't there for their kids. I mean, I talk to a friend of mine all the time. You're in the pictures, but you weren't in the pictures. Mm-hmm. But those relationships can change. As bad as you feel back then, look at where you are now with your kids. Open, honest, oh my gosh. They are your life. I know that. That's so cool. I didn't know, either I didn't know or I didn't listen, because I figured I knew pretty much everything about you. I don't think I ever heard the story about you crying during the job interview. Mm-hmm. And I know this wouldn't happen, but it would be really interesting to see if you could find that person and just say, hey, check this shit out.
Well, it sounds like she was pretty kind to you.
Very kind.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's
Very
incredible.
kind. She didn't need to, and I know her name, and she's around, and it's one thing I haven't done is kind of reached out after all these years to tell her how important she was to me at a moment where I was at my lowest.
Incredible.
We did an exercise in our group one time. Who was one of the most influential people in our lives? And everyone in the group went around and told who it was. And I asked a bunch of them, have you reached out to that old teacher? And told them how important they are? Mm-hmm. So anyway, it just struck me as something I couldn't remember that story, but I thought, man, I wonder what it'd be like for her to know how you're doing now. And that would be awesome. So yes, Father's Day, kids can get a lot better. Your relationships with kids can get a lot better. And I would like to say that I've learned that I love you deeper now than I did before, but that's not possible, buddy. You are my fave. You are my guy. We are like brothers, and I am so honored that you came and did this, even though it's not always easy to do. But you did a great job, and as I tell people at the end of these things, and it's not just words, you're doing this today will make a difference in someone's life. Someone will hear this and will reach out. So
Special to hear.
that's
Thank you.
that's super powerful. So thanks everyone for joining us for another episode of What's the Point podcast, and we'll see you again real soon.
You've been listening to What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. It's real men telling real stories, from depression to anxiety. No doctors or professionals, just real men talking about real issues. For more, visit the Face It Foundation's website at www.faceitfoundation.org. To ask questions for future episodes, send us an email at wtpointpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at What's the Point Podcast, and find us on Twitter at WTPointPodcast. Till next time, this is What's the Point Podcast. And remember, you are the point.